you put Michael Jordan at number 3 on your top 50.
Yeah, I did.
You said yourself Jordan's peak was probably higher than anybody's.
Yeah.
LeBron and Kareem were the last two, obviously.
Yeah.
So are you basically saying that longevity and consistency are more important than actually winning?
Okay. So here's what I want to do here. And we did some of it on Monday on First Things First. And we're going to do it here in full without me having to deal with the jibber jabber and interruptions from Broussard and Wild.
Okay.
Not that they really interrupted me much, but I want to lay out the full case about Jordan versus Kareem. Because I don't think anyone's shocked that I have LeBron ahead of Jordan. They would have been shocked if I didn't have LeBron ahead of Jordan. What people are shocked by is that I had the audacity to put Michael Jordan third. So first, let's just back up and discuss this from a intellectual perspective. If there is an argument for the greatest ever at anything that is a 3-person argument, then, so for instance, if you are saying, hey, who's the greatest president ever? And some people are like, I think it's George Washington, first and the best. Some people are like, I think it's Abe Lincoln, won the Civil War, helped free the slaves. And someone's like, I think it's FDR. Dude won 4 elections, New Deal, all that. If it's a 3-person race for the GOAT of anything, then someone who is somebody's GOAT is going to come in third.
Right.
That is just accepted, understood, logical. It's a tautology, right? Okay. So then the question becomes, should it be a 3-person race? Well, if in anything we are measuring, one person has scored more points or more goals or more touchdowns, anything, scored more points than anyone in the history of the sport, has the most league MVPs of anyone in the history of the sport, and has as many championships as any of the other GOAT candidates, that person would, of course, be one of the eligible GOAT candidates, correct?
100%.
So I just described Kareem. Now, so Kareem has to be in the discussion. LeBron has to be in the discussion. And Michael has to be in the discussion.
Right.
So this is, my wife is right here, by the way, standing off camera. We can't show her because she's not camera ready right now. She is so bored with this discussion. But I'm not going to let that take away from the fact, because I'm not bored with this discussion, because while LeBron versus Jordan has been discussed a lot, Kareem versus any of these guys has not been, because he is a forgotten man. Because when he played, let's be honest, media didn't really like him. Why didn't they like him? Well, 70s weren't necessarily the kindest time to black men who converted to Islam and were incredibly politically active and spoke about racism and were a little curmudgeonly with the media. So maybe he didn't get the fairest shake in his own era by the press then. And post his basketball career, we have not celebrated him because he's not the Russell Wilt era of grainy footage, but the NBA really came to life with the Magic Michael Bird era, of which he was a part of, but it almost hurts him. Because that was Kareem wearing his goggles and at a different phase of his career at the very end of it, as opposed to Kareem kicking ass and taking names at the beginning of it. And some of this is going to be explained when we do the Kareem video, whether he lands at 1 or 2. But I'm going to explain some of it here about Kareem's basketball life. And for our rankings, the pre-NBA stuff doesn't technically matter, but it could serve as an interesting tiebreaker. So I want to tell, what do you know, Demonze? What's the famous story? And maybe you know it, maybe you don't. Sometimes I forget how young you are, but about Michael Jordan in high school basketball. Do you know it? Michael Jordan in high school basketball. The famous story with Jordan legendarily is he was cut from his high school team.
Yeah. So he didn't make his freshman team, wasn't
he? He didn't make varsity his freshman year, which is what they have turned into. He was cut. He didn't make varsity his freshman year. He was cut. It's a little legend making, but he had to build it. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar went 79-2 in high school and had a 71-game winning streak and won 3 New York State titles. That was Kareem in high school. What do we know about Michael Jordan's college career? He was a really good player who his freshman year hit a shot to win the national championship, won player of the year 1 time, and was the 3rd pick of his draft.
Right.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar played 3 years of college basketball because back then you weren't allowed to play as a freshman. In those 3 years, his team went 88-2. All 3 years, he was player of the year. All 3 years, he won the national championship. All 3 years, he was most outstanding player of the Final Four. He lost twice in college. One came in a game where he got hurt but played through it, and they lost by 2. The other came in a game where it was pre-shot clock, and the other team stalled this entire second half. And it was, I think, UCLA only scored 10 points. So he's 88-2 in college. Again, this is just college. And then, so what about his freshman year? His freshman year, UCLA's varsity team, which he wasn't allowed to play for, won the national championship. The freshman team at UCLA beat the varsity team because of Kareem when they played each other in a scrimmage on campus. They were 20-0. They also changed the rules and outlawed dunking during Kareem's college career because he was too good.
That's insane.
Okay, so that's in college. In the pros, though, which is what the league is based on, or the list is based on, Michael Jordan was drafted to a 27-win crummy Chicago Bulls team. His rookie year, he led them to 38 wins. They were 38-44 and made the playoffs. Kareem, oddly enough, was drafted to a 27-win Milwaukee Bucks team, same as Michael Jordan. They won 56 games his rookie year and won a round of the playoffs. Michael's second year, he was swept in round 1 by the Boston Celtics. Kareem's second year, they won 66 games. They went 12-2 in the playoffs. He won league MVP. He won finals MVP. That's the beginnings of their career. The ends of their career. Michael Jordan, it is legendary now, came
Kareem
back.
also had Oscar Robinson.
He had Oscar Robertson for not his rookie year, but that second year. That is true.
Yeah.
That is absolutely true. What is also true is Oscar played 4 years with Kareem. Only 2 of those years did he average even 15 points per game. It was a different player. 1 year in the finals, Oscar averaged 9 points per game. Oscar was a different player at that point in his career. Oscar is an all-time great. It's a fair take. Kareem had Oscar, and then he had Magic. I get that, and we'll get to that in full in a moment. Now let's go to the end of the career. Michael Jordan, at 38 years old, came back to basketball and helped the Washington Wizards win 37 games, and he averaged 22 points per game. There's 38.
38 years
Kareem
old.
Abdul-Jabbar, at 38 years old, won finals MVP. Michael Jordan, at 40 years old, averaged 20 points per game for a 37-win Washington Wizards team. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, at 40 years old, averaged 22 points per game in the finals to win the championship. He had the most unstoppable shot in the history of basketball, the skyhook. And on top of all of that, and at one last piece, and then we can move on. Michael Jordan played 15 seasons in the league, as far as where he only played at least parts of them. But one of those was the 95 season where he only played the very tail end because he's come back from baseball. So Michael Jordan played 14 full seasons in the league. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had 15 seasons where he was top 5 in MVP voting. He had 15 seasons where he was first or second team All-NBA. And Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, at 41 years old, Game 6 of the NBA Finals, 10 seconds left, down 1. Who did the Lakers draw the play up for? The captain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So I say all that to, and what did he do? He got fouled, kind of a phantom foul call, made both free throws, then they won Game 7. That was the Isaiah Thomas sprained ankle game. I say all that to say this. Put some goddamn respect on the captain's name.
Compelling argument there.
He was better in high school. He was better in college. He was better as a young player. He was better as an old player. Oh, and the winning thing. One last point. The LeBron versus Michael thing's tough. LeBron's got 4 rings. Michael's got 6. But I would ask you this, America. I present to you 2 Olympians. One has 6 gold medals and 0 silver medals. The other guy has 6 gold medals and 4 silver medals. Who was the better Olympian? Everyone would say, the guy with 6 golds and 4 silvers. That's Kareem. Michael has 6 championships and 6 finals appearances.
Who was in the Olympics?
Kareem has 6 championships and 4 other finals appearances. So, folks can, again, Michael Jordan, I did 45 minutes of love to him, has a compelling case that he's the greatest player ever.
Yeah.
So does Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Go ahead.
Yeah, I wish I could. I've got to watch some Kareem highlights at this point.
Yeah. Listen, they're not that exciting.
Yeah,
He's just doing the goddamn skyhook again and again and again and again. But if you had a boxer and it's like, he just does the jab. It's like, well, no one's ever beaten him and he lands it. Oh, one other Kareem fact, and then we'll move on. Okay?
Okay.
I'm 37 years old.
Yeah.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar broke Wilt Chamberlain's record for most points scored in NBA history before I was born. He still holds it. He still holds it. April of 84, Kareem sat there. I have not lived a day of my life where Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was not the NBA's all-time leading scorer. Those things seem to matter. Now we can move on.
Okay. You don't think that has anything to do with? All right.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I don't like to go to the whole era of basketball. Do
Sure.
you think Kareem would have dominated the way that he did in
today's era? Well, we're going to talk about that with Draymond later.
with Draymond.
The fair knock on the Kareem 70s era of domination is there was a competing league in the ABA, and a lot of the great players of basketball players were playing in the ABA, right? That's the fair point. Would Kareem have been able to kick ass in any era? Yes. In today's era, is it possible Kareem would have been better because not as many teams have centers? Yes. That skyhook's not getting blockable. Like there's no blocking it. We'll do more when we do the Kareem, whether he's first or second on the ranking show. But because of DeMonze's constant interruptions there, we might have to go a little late here on the Boston.
Yeah, blame it on me.
Go ahead. Hey, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button to get more from the show, and make sure to click the bell to get notified every time new content drops. Check out full episodes of What's Right wherever you get your podcasts, or just click the link in the description below.